today we're kind of going to spend the time and talk about happiness and just kind of mental health and just kind of as a whole. So we may go into relationships depending on who comes in and chats with us. We may talk about relationships. We're definitely going to talk about the self and self happiness and all of that good stuff. How to get to that point and all of that. So before we even get to all of that conversation, I think we should kind of define it. I think happy means it's a state. It's a state of being. And so I used to get content and happy mixed. I think I still do, but I think they go hand in hand also. And what I mean by that is when it comes to like, at least for me, right? Like happiness is about, it's how you feel. And you don't have to be excited or overjoyed to be happy. You just have to, I think there's got to be some balance. And so there's different levels to it. And so a level 5 happy is just me right now. I'm not sad. I might be actually a little excited. Okay, so maybe it might be like a 7 because I'm a little bit excited / anxious. But does that? I don't think that really defines it. But I think it's a mixture of a lot of different things.
What are you anxious about?
Not anxious in a bad way or like a nervous way. I think more just
Excited?
this is just very different from what I've been streaming. And it's a side of myself that I didn't really show on Twitch or anywhere really. I mean, if you know me and talk to me in person, this side of Mark comes out every once in a while, but not to this, not on a platform like this or to this extent.
So like you said, there's a huge difference between happy and content. And a lot of people, I feel, in my opinion, now granted, I am not qualified to have an expert opinion of any sort. However,
yeah. Ooh,
I am
real quick.
qualified to say I have experience.
Yeah, real quick.
Go ahead.
Before we continue on with this conversation, we by no means are experts in this field. Will not be giving you any medical advice or anything like that. This is just some people talking, and if you can relate, great. If you can't, then
Learning.
Yeah.
Learning about other people in the world, perspective changing, eye opening, yada yada. Happiness versus content. Okay, content it's like a facade. You think you're happy. You think everything's great. But what content usually ends up being is it's like a mask that you wear. And underneath that mask, because there's actually a lot of things that you're unhappy with, whether it be your environment, the people you're around, or just some sort of minor inconvenience, right? And they're all things that could easily be changed. But the reason why I consider it content is you can't be bothered. It's not so much of a big deal that it needs to be changed. You can, you could, but you don't really feel like it's necessary. That to me is content.
Yeah.
Happiness, on the other hand, is where you're at a point in life where you don't feel like there's really much of anything that you absolutely need to change or anything of the sort. You feel like you're in good company. You put yourself around good people. There's no bad apples in your friend following or whatever. There's no drama in your family. Financially doing good, spiritually, mentally. Mental health is always, combined with spiritual health. All that seems to be pretty leveled. And you're at a point where if you wanted to do something, if you want to go out and do something, you don't really have too many barriers other than like the usual, like, okay, well, maybe I need to save up a couple bucks or something like that to go do it. You don't have any mental barriers to be like, oh, I'm not feeling too great today because I just don't feel lucky enough, or I just, I'm not feeling it. That's a common phrase that I hear is I'm not feeling it today.
Yeah, which is I think a normal thing, especially like this year freaking sucked for the most part, and I say that because I know there's been a lot of people have been affected in a lot of different ways. One thing that I noticed, especially in myself this past year, is, long story short, I won't turn this into a back in my day type of conversation.
Oh, just do it. Just do it.
No. This won't be too long. But back in April, I found out that I was going to be laid off from my job, which being in the San Francisco Bay Area is kind of crazy. Going from a really nice mid-level recruiting job to $400 a week in unemployment can be terrifying for some people. And I definitely, had some anxiety going into the rest of this year. And so it really made me think, though, if somebody really wanted me to be in their company, they would have worked to make it happen. I had to do some soul searching and figure out why the heck did they want me gone. I know I'm awesome. I know a lot of people think that I'm awesome, but I know that I definitely have some shortcomings. What was on the shortcoming side that outweighed the good side of me? So I did a lot of soul searching since that happened. And it wasn't until a couple of months ago that I, finally realized okay, look, I do this recruiting job because one, I'm good at it. But two, because I really enjoy helping people. Does that job make me happy? And the answer ended up was no. And so I realized the answer was, being happy in my recruiting role. I realized the answer was no. And the crazy thing is, the recruiters make, especially in the Bay Area, recruiters make really good money. I wasn't at that level yet, but, I was well on my way. And I just realized I just absolutely despised the politics of working in an office, reporting to a manager that hasn't done the job that they're managing you to do in 5, 10 plus years, and don't understand that the landscape has completely changed, don't care about you as a person. It wasn't the place for me. And so saying all of that, just kind of decided that I'm going to take, I'm in a really good position really fortunate position. And I know not a lot of people have, the fortune that I did this year, and said, you know what, I'm going to just put myself out there, do something that I love, which is playing video games. As number one. Number two, just networking with people. Working at Starbucks for 8 years, I learned to just know how to relate to people on another level, and it really taught me to just assume good intent in everybody, and just, if you give people the opportunity, they'll show you their good side. Thinking about all of that, just kind of putting that all together into this little bubble, I came across Twitch, and that's kind of where this came in. And this isn't meant to be a commercial for Twitch, so don't take it that way. But what I will say is the community that I've met through Twitch and through Twitter, and just, in communities I'm a part of in Discord. This is going to sound so cliche, but I feel at home, if that makes any sense. And I think that's,
makes total
for
sense.
Me, that's happy. I don't have to hold back on who I am. I can just be who I am, and the people that, want to come in here and troll, I can delete the comments. People that, want to stay and tell me that they love my smile and it makes them happy, they can stay. How do I highlight that, actually? Can I make that bigger?
Right.
Can I clip myself?
Yeah.
Clip it.
Joan, we were talking about being happy, and I want to see what your definition of that is. But real quick, let's catch up on the chat. All right, so Puff Puff Panda, in my opinion, content can be happiness too. I'm saying that because for a person to be content, they have to be happy with the situation they are in. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, why am I so nervous?
Don't be nervous. Just drink something.
Okay. I know, right?
This isn't coffee. No, I'm just kidding.
There's this.
He drinks his coffee. I'm gonna drink my coffee.
That's why it's in here. Just kidding.
Okay, I'm gonna give you eye contact so you can do this better. There
oh my gosh. Okay. So, my definition. I'm just kidding. Everybody's gonna be like, I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be here. Everyone's staring at me.
I think I was listening into you guys talking about happiness and contentment. And I think happiness is something that is kind of temporary, things that make you happy. Like when you get a promotion at your job, or thing goes right throughout your day, doing something nice for somebody that brings people happiness, But I feel like contentment is something that is deeper, something that is completely solidified, within yourself, And I feel like a lot of people confuse the two. I think you were saying, Mark, that was it you that was saying that? So I feel like
I confuse and mix the two.
No, yeah. I mean, and that's completely understandable. I think as you grow older, you can define the two, so you can realize, like what it means to be content. And I know you're going to talk about like relationships and stuff like that, but I think a lot of people nowadays, they don't know, they can't tell the difference, especially like the younger generations. And so they like kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say settle, but like they just think that they're content, but actually it's just happiness at that very moment.
Sounds kind of like you're saying like happiness is a little bit more fleeting, kind of like a temporary situation.
Yeah. Because something that gave you happiness when you were younger probably is not going to make you happy now,
I don't know. Disneyland is pretty freaking awesome.
You're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that one.
And I still get happy when I order Happy Meals. It's just not for myself anymore. I wish they made Big Mac Happy Meals. That'd be kind of cool.
Just get a Mighty Kids meal for yourself.
Right?
Mighty Kids.
They're like the perfect serving size for everything. So I mean, you might as well.
Yeah, I ended up, to completely throw us off track, the 4 for $4 at Wendy's makes me happy.
There you go.
With that strawberry lemonade. Anyway, so I think one thing that we definitely need to kind of touch on is when it comes to happiness is who dictates it for you. Is it something that comes from you? Like I'm going to work out because it makes me happy. I'm going to go volunteer because it makes me happy. Or is it I'm going to go volunteer because somebody else wanting you to spend time in volunteering because they like that version of you? And did you tell yourself that you can make it seem like it's internalized? This is one thing. So this is one of the things I kind of came across in the year. I feel like people are, I don't want to say programmed, but it's almost like it's just kind of instinctually built in to put other people's happiness in front of ours. And my parents for the longest time wanted me to either one, be a doctor or a nurse, obviously, and number two, go into engineering or civil engineering or architecture or real estate, which at the time was a family business. It was hard because I was also really good at math. Like I was in 6th grade in an 8th grade math class with kids 2 years older than me, helping them with their homework. Like that's not a normal situation. So I was definitely gifted in math. And, in civil engineering and architecture, very, very important trait to have. But it just, I don't know. It didn't make me feel alive. It was a rough conversation with my parents. Talking to them like, hey, I'm going to go to art school. I'm going to be a photographer. Having that conversation because, in the Asian culture, especially in the Filipino culture, it's a lot about like status. If me today was walking down the street with my dad and somebody said, oh, hey, Francis, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is my son. Oh, hey, what's your name? Mark. Oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I stream on Twitch. 10, maybe even 15 years ago, that would be like, oh, you play video games for a living? Huh? That's it? That's what you do? Like, we get so much flack for it. And I still think to this day that it's true. But at the same time, like, man, if somebody can be happy doing what they love, then just let them be happy, man. Just let them do what they want to do. They're not hurting anybody. And in any way, they're going to be able to help at least the people that are also in that same boat feel better about themselves and just show up 100% because it's just who they are. If your happiness is dictated from within you and not being influenced from any outside noises, including parents and family, there's a lot there.
You were saying, who dictates our happiness? And I'm going to try and stick to this thought as much as I can because one of my personal issues myself is I tend to, if there was a train and there was a track, it would derail off of that train right into Godzilla's abdomen, and there would be a sequel of that movie, and it would be Power Rangers, and everybody would be confused. So, that is one of
you already lost.
Yeah, that's. Okay. Anyway, so
no. Go ahead.
we could talk more about all that good stuff later. But anyway, it is yourself. And I say that as relaxed as I possibly can be. It is a very violent battle with yourself. The reason why is there's a term in psychology that's called self-worth. And it's often used alongside of terms like self-image and whatnot, and self-value. The thing about it is, if you don't consider yourself worthy of certain things, if you don't see yourself being capable of something just because you qualified to do something, and we're not talking qualifications like you want to be a doctor? Well, you need PhD qualifications. No, we're not talking like that. We're saying like, you would like to go participate in a volunteer walk, but you don't, for whatever reason, you don't feel qualified because you don't think that's for you, even though there's no reason for you to think that. Happiness, when it comes to self-worth, as long as your self-worth is up there, then literally the only person who is capable of stopping you from doing anything is yourself. Again, I'm trying to keep this on a single train of thought. I feel myself derailing. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
But if you ever feel yourself struggling with that sort of thing, where most people call it motivation to do something, typically it's also really just a battle with self-worth.
Yeah.
And that's when you gotta just kind of sit down and evaluate why am I having those thoughts? Why am I having these things? Me, for example, a really easy example, my weight. I'm a little bit of a chubby bunny, okay? Just a little bit. And
I think we
sometimes
all are a little bit.
Yeah, chubby bunnies. Well, and I'll think to myself, well, during summertime, I don't want to go swimming because I don't want to put myself in a bathing suit.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Who cares? Someone wants to look at me and stare. Thanks, I'm a gem.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I have to validate my self-worth.
Yeah.
And that's up to me, though. Nobody else can really do that, because if I allow myself to feed off of someone else's validation, what happens if their opinion changes? What if they get upset with me over something and they change their opinion?
Yeah.
So really, the only person who could be in charge of like your happiness and your self-worth and all that, that's you. You have to be the center of that. Did any of that make sense? I feel like I drilled like 6 times.
No, for sure.
No, they all connected.
I feel like our minds are so similar. So I'm like, yeah. For sure.
Real quick before you go, Joan, I just wanted to say 2 things. Number one, there was a quote I remember hearing, or Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you guys have like listened to any of his talks, but he talks about how people go to work at a job that they absolutely hate, to buy a bunch of crap that they don't need to impress a bunch of people that don't give a damn. Like, it's like you're doing all of this stuff to fulfill absolutely nothing of worth at the end of the day. And it's like, that's something that really stuck out to me. And, it was at that point that I was like, I need to really think about why I feel like I need a new phone every year, and why I feel like I need an Apple Watch, and why I feel like this and that. And that was part of the journey this year. And then Puff Puff Panda, I honestly think that's the human race in general. It's instilled in people to want to prove self-worth to others. I'm gonna have to agree with that. I think it's just this continuous, like, our parents did it, so of course we're gonna follow, and people that we hang out with. And I mean, I see it in my son. When he was going to school, he got mad because somebody didn't like his shoes, and I was like, but dude, they're your favorite color, you love how they look. Who cares if another kid like wasn't happy, didn't like? Why does his opinion why do you value his opinion more than yourself? But anyway, I just wanted to touch on that real quick. And then also, Wildly Ella, thank you for stopping by. Yes, Gary V is, I love listening to him. He's a little raunchy, but I love it. Like, he's just so raw. I think that's what I love so much about him. It's so weird that it's almost part of our conditioning and it makes us miserable. It is. And it's like, I'm constantly fighting it and trying not to pass it on to my son too, right? Like, and I think that's a whole other conversation that we can have.
So who dictates happiness? And I agree with all of you guys that it's kind of you. You know what I mean? Like, you can Yeah, you, Mark.
That guy.
You're that guy right here.
I'm just kidding. It's morphin time. Sorry, I
I just realized that on like Twitch, I'm like pointing the wrong way, so I have to point like.
Yeah.
You're right here.
Point towards my.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
It's that guy, and it's my coffee. Sorry, go ahead.
That guy. It definitely is something that is internalized. It is you. It's your opinion on how you carry your life out. And you're right about certain people's upbringings. I mean, I know a lot of people that grew up in like really not so good childhoods that end up turning pretty successful because they chose to be that way. You know, they chose a different path for themselves that maybe their parents or whoever raised them said that they couldn't make it, you know. And then I have friends who are just like, yeah, my mom or dad or whoever was just like, yeah, I'm just going to be, you know, a deadbeat, whatever. And then they turned out to be just that because they couldn't realize themselves that they have potential. Everybody has potential, you know, and I feel like a lot of people get confused by the standards that they set for themselves because they set the bar too low for themselves. And I mean, I'm not going to say that like I'm a multimillionaire and I've made it in life. You know what I mean? Like, I think every single day you should be able to work on something to be able to improve yourself from the next day, you know, for the previous day. And I feel like, well, I mean, career-wise, I was fortunate enough to know exactly what I wanted to do when I was younger. And
so lucky.
Coincidentally, I wanted to be a nurse. Like, I didn't even know anything about stereotypes, especially the Filipino stereotypes that, you know, you're going to end up being a nurse. Like, I wanted to do that since I was in kindergarten. Like, I was fascinated by the human body and I was passionate about, you know, wanting to help people. And so that's kind of, you know, that's kind of the path that I went and I stuck to it. And here I am now. And I take care of like, you know, I take care of like kids and I hold their tiny little hands and that brings me happiness.
I know. I think you joined one of our calls the other day and we just kept hearing this baby in the background. I'm like, what are you are you at work? Like what?
I was at work. But yeah, I mean, it just definitely depends on you. Like, and I hate to see that there are a lot of people who depend on other things to make them happy. But that's all just a temporary, you know, like you can't rely on temporary happiness to be content with your whole entire life. If you're going to surround yourself with people who just are very superficial and, you know, like it, you start to lose yourself. And I'm talking from experience for me. Like when I was younger, I mean, I'm not old now. I'm like 27. Is that old? Oh my God.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. No. Don't worry. I was still a baby when I was 27.
Oh my gosh.
Still a baby now.
I know. You're like, what, 55?
Get out. I'm booting from.
I'm just kidding.
My mind is old. I'm not going to lie. I think like
I feel like mine is too, a little bit. But yeah, when I was younger, like when I was in my teens and when I was in my younger 20s, like I didn't know who I was. I was like, you know, posting stuff on Instagram, on Facebook, like, you know what I mean? I was buying things and wearing clothes that I felt like was cool, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, yeah, like but I didn't know what it meant to be actually internally content. And it wasn't until recently that I was just like, all right, let's just start, you know, let's just start finding things that'll actually make you happy and content with every day that you are alive, you know? Yeah. But,
so I'm curious, like why, because this is definitely something I've been thinking about for a long time. Like, why does it matter to people, like what other people think? You know, like in high school, I was in classes with people that were 2 years older than me because my like being advanced in math. I was kind of like nerd, but I was also very into sports, and so I was also not a nerd. And then I was in theater, and so I was like also that nerd. I wore cool clothes, so I was kind of like part of like the A-list kids. So like I was just part of every group. And so I remember having one conversation like with one of the A-list people. They were like, Mark, why do you hang out with those geeks? And I was like, because they're smart, and like I can talk to them the way that I naturally speak. To be honest, I kind of have to dumb myself down to talk to you guys. I didn't say that. I was definitely thinking it, but I didn't say it.
Okay.
But like it made it like where the next time I hung out with those, with the smarter group, like the smarter crowd, I started like kind of questioning, like, why am I here? Like because they put that in my head. Yeah. And I was just like, do I really, how do I really feel about this group? Especially if the cool group over there who dictated how everything was done at the time, right? In high school, if they're saying something, then they're probably all saying something. But like, why does that matter? Like, why does that matter to us? Especially when we're younger.
You know what's weird?
Mm-hmm.
I can't relate to that.
No?
You know why? Well, you were in group A for a little while, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm way over there in my own little group because I naturally never fit into anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just kind of a drifter. And I might pick up some friends here along the way because people liked how weird and sporadic I was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, especially in high school, I just didn't give a shit. And so if someone tried conflict with me, I would call their bluff.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a bully, like I wasn't like a high school bully, but I was like the counter to a bully.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I was just very socially awkward. If I had lost more nuts and bolts at the time in my brain, to be perfectly honest, I'd probably end up being one of like the typical school shooter people. I can say that because I survived a school shooting. So before you get on my ass about that, chat.
Okay.
Anyway.
Wait. When? Okay, I mean that's the Power Rangers thing. We can talk about that another time. But I definitely want to know more about that.
We could talk about that in a little while. But I'm just saying, like, I can't relate to what you're talking about when it comes to like getting into these groups with these people,
mm-hmm.
and and like trying to like fit with these people. Like right now, where I'm at right now in my life, I have very, very, very few close friends, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I don't like doing the whole mingling with people and making everybody happy. And yeah. What I do now with Twitch and with you guys, the people I've met through Twitch and whatnot, it makes me so freaking happy. Like I love seeing you guys be happy. I love just, you guys are all good company, and that to me is all I really would want. If someone comes up and is being a little hecker, then I just take them and put them over there, Don't need you.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So like I've never gotten to really experience what you're talking about, and so I don't know if maybe I'm the only one who's like that, or if other people, where they fall in line, if they're closer to what I'm dealing with, where I didn't really have a group, or if they're closer towards you where they had a group. So I'm kind of curious where the audience kind of fits in there.
Well, actually, I consider myself pretty like an extrovert introvert. I'm pretty outgoing. It just depends on the situation. Like, but I say that because, like you guys were saying, like, kind of like your status back, when you guys were in school and stuff. And I didn't have very many friends. I did not feel like the cool, popular crowd were real enough for me. Like, I wasn't conceited like that, but like I was just like, it seemed all fake, and I didn't want fake friends. I mean, I had a couple, and they were all really nice, and I just was acquaintances with pretty much everybody versus like having my own group of friends. And it's so interesting that for the longest time, I was just like, I don't want to be a part of something that I feel like is not myself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even now, even right now in this very moment, I do have one friend, and I would consider her like very cool. Like, she's up with the times, she dresses nicely, but I find myself like, she'll send me music, and I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like her music. But I find myself just trying to force myself to listen to it, to like it enough to be her friend. And it's just so interesting because like I don't ever like think about it. I just do it. I'm like, why am I like this? I don't know. I don't know why it's like that, but I just feel like that is what society thinks is in, you know what I mean? And of course you want to be part of something bigger. You want to be a part of something. And so, I mean, but at the same time, you don't want to stand out too much, but just enough, you know what I mean? And I think it's just, it's hard to, because you just want to be accepted always, you know what I mean? Like, whether it's with your peers or, like, I feel like I am pretty much the same person on Twitch, on my streams, even at work. Like, I'm pretty much the same. Well, not to the higher ups or anything like that. I'm not talking about like dicks,
not like
dicks
putting a face on.
I had like a brief second of spacing out. All of a sudden, I hear dicks. What?
I needed to reel you back.
Thank you.
She needs to reel it back. No, but Puff Puff Panda just said the same thing. Like, people want acceptance.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Like, and it's because I ask myself this all the time, and I'm like, why do I want to be accepted? Why can't I do the accepting? You know what I mean? Like I have never been one to be the one to accept people. Does that make sense? Like, not in in the nicest way possible. Like, if you're nice to me, I'm nice to you, and you know what I mean? Like, like I'll accept you in that sense. But it's interesting that like I feel like I'm not the type of person who is a leader, I guess I should say. Like, I've always been kind of a follower, pretending to be a leader, and that's off topic. Me and Momi, I swear, like we have like the same like.
I have this.
We're like talking about like other things, but yeah. So I don't know why it's like that. I don't even know. I wish I knew the answer, because if I knew the answer, I think a lot of my insecurities would
be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what though? I bet you with that one example you gave with the music, right? I bet you the reason why you go to listen to it is not because you're like, I'm doing it because I want to be their friend or something to impress them or something, whatever, blah, 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 blah. No. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? I bet you she's doing it because to her, that the action of sending her a song is a gift. And that gift is a gift of friendship. It's a token of friendship.
Bars.
And killing it.
And so no, I was just thinking about it. I was like, there's nothing wrong with accepting it, even if you think you would normally not. I really appreciate the fact that they took the time to go out of the way and send me this. So I'm gonna go take a time to go out of my way and listen to it. And the cool thing about that is, for something specific to that example, is let's say later on it comes up into conversation or someone quotes it, and now both you and your friend are looking at each other like, hey,
right.
Y'all are singing it together, and you have that
totally
moment versus when you don't.
Okay,
if you didn't listen to it, and your friend's over there like, and you're like,
and they're just like, sorry, I didn't like it. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and it's so funny that you say that, because my love language is receiving gifts. Like, that is my thing. Like, I love receiving words of like encouragement and even like little things here and there that makes me feel more connected up to that person, because they're like, hey, this song reminded me of you, or hey, I remember you said you like this, so here this is, And so when people like send me things or give me things or whatever, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's like a lot deeper to me than other people.